Today, we're going to be drawing outdoors a beautiful statue at the museum. Most parks have statues, and it's nice to draw a three-dimensional object even though it's not a live model. You have these statues in most parks and places. This happens to be Nassau County Museum of Art. They have a beautiful sculpture garden, and they have these dancers, 3 females. I'm choosing to only draw 2 of the 3, but they're interconnected. So it's interesting to draw more than one person and how they connect, and the negative space between the 2 people to connect their hands properly. You have to. So I'm starting with the figure on the left. So I'm using this soft pencil. It's like a terracotta color, and I always feel comfortable with it because you could just slide your hand over the surface very light like a sketch and get a very thin line, and then you could push heavy. You could erase it, some of it. Alright, so the first figure on the left seemed to work out okay. Now the second one on the right, you want to erase at the beginning as much as possible anything that you feel is off, or maybe the balance is not right, or the composition and then the connection with different parts of the body. You're better off erasing from the beginning. So anything that doesn't look right, don't get too heavy. Start light, and then as you go, you could get to darker pencils and more of a commitment. So you want to keep it sketchy. So we're sketching the beautiful statue here in the park. So now I'm trying to erase the inside of the body. So if the outside is a sketch, you can use your eraser to sort of get you through the center of the body. Okay, so now I'm looking at both figures as if they are connected, because they are connected. The hands have to be connected together. So that's the hard part, getting the hands to connect and the feet in the right spot, and the proportions looking good. Looking at the negative space and going back and looking at, and now you can stretch the proportions. This is a little bit, I would say, could be stretched. There's about 8 head units to the body, and this probably is close to that. Maybe the one on the right could be more like 8.5. Okay, so erasing, going around with the pencil and trying to find where the different parts of the body are and the connection. So now I erased it a little bit more. You keep erasing until, and then layering. Okay, so now I thought it was a little bit off center, so I'm moving her leg a little bit more underneath her, on the figure on the right. I thought she was leaning a little bit back. So I moved her foot to be underneath her. So the center of gravity and balance, even though she is holding on and there's movement. So when there's movement, then the balance shifts. All right, so now I'm going to put some more figures in here. We might as well add 2 more. So this now I'm going to be looking at a drawing that I did at the Art Students League on 57th Street in New York. And we would have the live models come. They're there every day, and you sit in a circle and you sketch the different poses. This pose was a little bit longer, probably over 10 minutes, 15-minute pose that the model strikes. So the model is there. I copied this originally on paper, and now I'm looking at my drawing from a live model and recopying my drawing to fit into the space of this other picture. So I thought this might be a good exercise. Just, we want to look at something. It was a study that I did already from a live model, and now it could be transferred over to any other project that you have in the future. So here she is, she's twisting, her bottom half faces us. We could see even a little bit of her back, and she's twisting away. Her head is turning away, the arms are pulled back, the shoulders are pulled. She's a dancer sitting on the side, stretching, and the other two are dancing in the middle. We have her reclining on the ground, smaller, so maybe she's in the distance a bit, even though I could have lifted her up a little higher on the page to make her look more like she's in the distance. But since she's smaller and she's sort of maybe laying on the grass or something. The hand was a little long, the hand was a little big, even though I do like the hands a little bit larger than smaller. Like if you make the hands a little bit smaller than they are, it doesn't look good. But I think you could get away with making the hands a little bit larger, which a lot of people do. You can make the hand larger, and the feet could be larger too. If the feet are too small, they don't look good. But the head does look good small. For some reason, if you can make the head exaggerated a little bit, if it's not perfectly in proportion, the head could be smaller, the hands and feet could be bigger, in my opinion. All right, so now it is a little difficult getting her, like you want to draw her face in there, but she's really is facing the other way, so maybe, I don't know if I want to turn her around, but since this is a class in drawing, I think we should stick to the original. All right, now I found another drawing here from my Drawing from Life classes that was at the Art Students League. This is a longer drawing too. I think it's charcoal. We use a lot of charcoal. And to draw the human figure, I like using this sort of light terracotta color instead of black. I like it because it looks more like flesh, and I like a soft pencil that is blendable. I like everything that I could smear it and move it around, because I could get things done a lot quicker if I could get my finger in there and smear. Okay, now I got my 4 figures in, and we're going to do 1 point, a simple 1 point perspective. So there's the dot or the X right there, it's in the middle of the page, very low, because when I was looking at these statues in the middle, I was on a low angle. I was looking up at them. They were on a pedestal. When I was drawing the other figures on the right and left, they were standing up on a pedestal and I was sort of down low. So now I want to make the perspective low on the horizon. All right, so the person on the right was grabbing on to something. So now I had to put in something for her to grab onto, like this handrail, I guess, or a wall, a fence it could be. And we'll have some lines on the floor and draw a little building in the background, just a hint of an old building. And now we could start to add some color. Maybe there could be a meadow back there. Okay, so I'm going to start with the blue. Now, kind of have to be careful. Now we switched over to the soft pastel. So now soft pastel is very chalky, so it flies away. You got to control it. You could push it around and keep it in the spot, but now let's get rid of some of it. Okay, now we're going to smudge as much drawing that I do with the soft pastels. That's how much I'm smearing it, smudging it, because that's what I like about it. It almost is like you could put it down like oil paint, where you could move it with your hand. I'm using my finger, even though there's the smudging tool that I don't think I use for this whole picture. I I did everything with my finger like I used to do. Okay, see, I'm putting a line, I'm smearing it. I'm putting a line, I'm smearing it with one finger. Same thing, putting a line, smearing. I'm holding the pencil and then smearing it with my other finger to just push the pigment into the background and get an idea of the color pattern. I think we're going to do like a blue, green, yellow look, even though I just threw a little orange in there. And then here's some green. We can have the green hills in the background. We want to create the space and the depth. So the lines on the floor right away, they create the space that the people are in. Very simple. All you have to do is the 1-point perspective. You don't have to get too fancy with 2 and multiple points. Just pick 1 point. It doesn't have to be in the middle. So the vanishing point should be at the horizon or above. So we're going to go back and forth for a while, giving a little more detail, adding some detail into the drawing without messing it up. Like if you put just a little bit of black charcoal, I put a little under the feet, a little bit here and there, under the hand, but you can overdo it. So you're better off with the colored pencils. So now everything now is colored pencils, and you could feel free to make mistakes with a colored pencil. You could erase it. So, or you can even go on top of it with other lighter colors. Erasing it, you can't get 100% of it off. So now we're going to bounce back and forth. Now we're back to the soft pastel, and I just came up with this new technique of smearing it with my left hand. So it seemed to work well. It goes very fast. I'm trying to get the video done fast, so I decided to use both hands, and big deal. Look, it seems to be working out nice. Maybe it's not good to be too hasty and rush, but it worked out. Okay, same thing with this top. I'm drawing a line and then smearing it on the horizon, like a horizon line, up way above the horizon, but horizontally. Smearing horizontally, keeping the colors together in fields and not wanting to mix these colors up and make it muddy. So when you mix too many colors together, you create mud. Or browns and beiges when you mix the complementary colors together. Maybe we'll do a show on color. Now we're still adding color. So I want to try to add color and not get too dark. I mean, it's very easy to go dark with a picture like this if you want to look at classical art. Usually they are not colorful. They'll never be this bright yellow and everything. But we're going to keep it a little bit bright because I'm afraid of if I make it too dark, it's going to be too much work. Now I'm hitting it with the eraser. So once I blended in all those colors, now you can make the kneaded eraser. You can make it any shape you want. So if you make the eraser like a nice point, you use it once and you make another point. It's very soft, it's like dough. So it moves around very easily. So if you have to, you use it just once. Take a line out, do it once, then flip it around and reset it. Do it again, do it over and over. Keep resetting it, re-cleaning it. You got to keep it clean. You're not going to have control if you don't keep the eraser clean. All right, so now I switched and I'm going, this is sort of like a mixed media now. I'm using soft pastel in the background, and now I'm going on top of it with the colored pencils. Mixing the soft pastel together with colored pencils, and I seem to like it because I know if I want to do a painting, I could get pretty close to how the painting is going to look with the soft pastel and the colored pencils. These are very basic tools that most people have them around their house already, paper and pencil. Now I'm back to the number 2 pencil. I had to look at her face. So we're kind of sort of wrapping things up. I don't want to get too dark with this or get too dramatic. So don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you learned something, and maybe you want to try this technique of soft pastel and colored pencils and a little bit of charcoal or softer pencils. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I'm Paul Petronella, and I hope you continue to draw. Ciao.